Okay, parts of a plant. We are going to get into the life cycles of plants and animals and talk about the parts of a plant first. So this is spring, and I don't know about you guys, but at my house, I like to plant flowers, and I get really excited to get seeds, and my kids like to get like vegetables and fruits and go try to plant them into the ground and see what they can grow. So first you have the ground, because all seeds need to go in some dirt and need some soil in order to grow. Soil, water, oxygen, sunlight. So the first thing that you have is some kind of a seed. And seeds look different shapes, different sizes. But from the seed, you know that some of the things that start growing are these little things, and they go down into the ground. What are these part of the plants called that's in the soil below the ground? What is this called? These are your roots. Well, up from the roots, you have this long, straight green thing for many plants, not all plants, but when we have a flower, what do we call this part of the flower that's tall and green and holds the flower up? That's called the stem. So the purpose of these roots, they're going to absorb water and nutrients from the soil. And as it absorbs the water and the nutrients through the roots, they're going to travel up the stem to get it to the rest of the plant. Now also on the stem, we have these things, and they can be different shapes and sizes depending upon the plant. What are these called? These are your leaves. So the leaves, they're going to trap the sunlight and make it into food for the plant to grow. And the water and nutrients from the soil travel up the stem and go up to the leaves. And these leaves are taking that sunlight, it's trapping the sunlight and making it into food for the plant. Now above it, trying to get some pretty colors. Above the stem, it hooks on to, well, sorry, let me do this first. I'm drawing a generic flower. There's lots of different types of flowers, okay? Okay. What is this part? This is the flower. These are the petals. And then the yellow center. We have our pollen. And inside the pollen, our seeds are located so that if the wind blows it, or an insect or an animal gets into the pollen and they drop the seeds, it can plant more flowers, okay? So this pollen and then the seeds inside help make more flowers, okay? Now the petals right here, the flower, they attract animals and insects to the plant so that those insects and animals can get that pollen and help to create more. So this is important because that's what attracts the living things to get the pollen to make more flowers. And again, this stem is going to carry that water and food from the roots up to the flower so that it's healthy. In order for this flower to grow luscious and beautiful petals and have the pollen and the seeds, it has to have that water. It has to have those nutrients. So the stem is important for that. And again, these leaves are soaking up the light and the air from the sun and from the oxygen to make plant for the food, okay? All living things need water, whether it be a plant or animals, people, and all living things need food. So this flower is not going to eat food like you and I, or like your dog, or like other animals. It uses the oxygen and the sunlight to make its food. Okay, and so when you're if you were to dig up a flower in your a plant in your backyard, you would notice that even if you go pull weeds will grow the same way. Some weeds have super thick roots, and I know that some of those weeds has like the razor sharp petals, and it really hurts when you try to pull it up. Those roots can go so deep because they're trying to anchor themselves into the ground so that they can survive. That's a part of their defense mechanism. So these roots are important to all plants to help grow. If they don't have the roots, then it would just blow away. Okay, so roots are important because yes, it does soak up the water from the ground and the nutrients from the soil, but it also anchors in the plant so that it doesn't just blow away. We've talked about different habitats before, and we started talking about the grasslands before spring break. Something important about the grasslands is yes, they have very tall grasses. In the grasslands in North America, there is a lot of wind. There's not very many trees. We talked about that. When you have a lot of trees, it kind of blocks the wind. In the grasslands, there's not very many large trees. There's just a lot of tall grasses. So that wind is going to go through there pretty strong. So the grass plant, part of its defense mechanism, is growing these deep roots that travel deep into the ground, and they all intertwine together to hold them into the ground so that they don't just blow away with the wind. So roots are a very important part of the plant. And of course you have the different stems that allows the water to travel up to feed the plant. And we have different leaves to trap the sunlight and oxygen. And then for these flowers in particular, you're going to have your petals, you're going to have your pollen and seeds so that it can create more flowers as these seeds are either blown by the wind or carried off by insects or animals and then placed in the soil, and then more flowers will grow. Okay, so one of your assignments is to label the parts of a flower and upload it. You can take a picture of it, or you can even just go outside and draw it with chalk and take a picture of that and upload it to the Google Classroom. Okay, let me know if you have any questions.